Okay, page 7-34, line 40. What is meant by the phrase credible evidence of erosion? Who provides that? That sounds like a really big wiggle phrase to me.
7-34 where, David?
Line 40.
The applicant provides it, but who judges it?
Well, I mean, the applicant provides it,
So
but
we're in Shoreline Armoring.
Yeah, it would be the geotechnical report.
it would have to be a geotechnical report, not just, I own the property, I can tell, I've lived here 20 years, it's eroded a foot a year since I've lived here, or it would have to be something really in writing from it would have to be sealed. It doesn't really say that.
Well, I think if we could go out there and see evidence of it, I mean,
And
the
that's,
landslide, you have,
Do you want that authority, though? Credible evidence of erosion's pretty wishy-washy. Okay,
we've got the application requirements as the last section of regulations on page 7-37.
Hold on one second. And,
So these are all the kinds of things that might be required and thereby documenting credible evidence.
okay, let's see. And shall include, all these things are mandatory. So they have to have a hydraulic analysis, they have to have a biological resource analysis. So you didn't want to make it mandatory that they have a geotech report, they don't always need a geotech report,
Well,
is
the
that?
first line of that section, it says the county may require. So it's,
Well, wait a minute.
What line are we on?
we are on page 7-37, line 5 through 34, the application requirements.
But it says on line 9, it says shall include.
Shall address,
No, line 9.
and
Well,
shall include, excuse me.
so I'm just wondering, in other words, so there's already at least two mandatory reports.
Well, it says, if you look at it in line 5, it says the county may require the information to support the application. And then it goes on to say the application information required in this section shall, address and shall include there.
Shall
at the end.
include at least
So it
two
sounds like
reports.
the first thing is you may be required to do this, and if you are, then you shall include these things. But if you're not required to do it,
But
then
what's the applicant, where does the applicant go to find out what he has to supply? I guess that would be my next
DCE.
question. What?
Well, that's the application
That's-
requirements
You
right
put in your
here.
application.
you're right here.
And
Yeah,
you-
but those, you have to meet 1 through I through X, IX, right?
Yes.
Regardless of whether or not the county has required information to support.
Yes.
So what's the may?
So, yeah, where's the may and all that?
well, currently for a bulkhead, you're gonna, unless you're replacing an existing one, you're gonna need to show that there is a reason we need to have a bulkhead. And typically that's through a geotechnical report.
And the reference you were just looking at on page 7-34 is for new.
Well, I guess I still don't see where the may is.
Yeah, the point I think David is raising is that that the construction of that paragraph in J sub 1, it starts with may and then it follows with shall. So is it discretionary or is it required?
Whether or not you need a report, you would look at the criteria and whether you can determine they meet the criteria or not. And if we need to have professional information to determine whether they meet the criteria, then we may require the report. And if you submit a report, it shall include these items.
Okay, so do we need,
That's really confusing.
So look at what's shall.
so,
A hydraulic analysis and a biological resource inventory.
so should the
Those are
second,
different than a geotechnical.
No, I understand they are. I was asking, I was
So
wondering.
these are shall and the geotech may is the may.
So I have,
Good
does this apply for new bulkheads or any bulkhead? If I want to replace my bulkhead, would this apply?
Well, line 5 reads, line 6, so let's just read that whole section. To verify that the provisions of this section are fully addressed, the county may require information to support a permit application for any type of shoreline stabilization. If you look back at these other subsections in the structural shoreline armoring section, you've got existing shoreline armoring, you've got new or expanded shoreline armoring, you've got bulkheads, you've got revetments, you've got breakwaters, jetties, and seawall, so it's covering a broad range of the types of shoreline stabilization.
So may require, that means the administrator, in examining a complete application, could say, no, provision 7 is not required for a complete application.
So then should the second sentence then say, so, if additional information is required, it shall include the following?
When required, it shall, I suppose, sure, that'd be
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
clarified.
but under what situation would additional information not be required? I guess that's what the applicant's gonna say. It sounds like there's no situation where additional information won't be required. I mean, how would you know, otherwise how would you know whether the person should replace their bulkhead or put in a new bulkhead? I mean, you have to have information to make a decision.
Well, we don't tell people they have to replace a bulkhead. They come to us asking to replace the bulkhead, and then we would look at the criteria. If you're replacing one, I guess I just get a little concerned about saying they shall every time, because there may be times that I'm not thinking about right now where you might not require it.
You might not require information,
Right.
because they bring in photographs that needs to be fixed again.
Well, proportional to the application. Because of some circumstance, if it's not required, you might be in a river and require a geomorphologist.
Okay, well, all right.